Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the Online Series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we are finally trying out a Giratina team. A lot of you actually sent me some really cool Giratina teams on Twitter, so first of all, thank you for that. There might be a couple that I feature towards the later weeks as we conclude the season, but this one definitely caught my eye. I think Comfey Giratina is just a very natural pairing. It's just classic, okay, let's activate the weakness policy setup and go from there. But I think weakness policy is really the best way to run regular Giratina in this format, because quite frankly, it just does so little damage otherwise. Like, even if you max it, its damage output is just super underwhelming. So, Comfey naturally is a good partner. You can obviously go with things like, can side target Giratina, for example, like Grimmsnarl as well. But Comfey, I think, makes a lot of sense because you can also heal. So this team features weakness policy, Giratina standard. You can run it special or physical, but I think special is just a little bit better because there are so many intimidators in the format. And even if people aren't trying to intimidate Giratina, sometimes like Incineroar will just come out, right? And like Giratina just doesn't want a stat drop because even if you're at just +1, you do so much less damage. In my opinion, it really needs +2 to actually pick up those big one-hit KOs. Otherwise, like I said, damage output can be a little bit underwhelming. So it's interesting because obviously there's another Dragon Ghost type in the format in Dragapult that is really offensive, really strong. But Giratina is a little bit bulkier, and I think is also just something that players don't expect very much because it's just not very common in the format in general. So the idea, obviously, is to activate the weakness policy on Giratina. You've also got classic screen support from Grimmsnarl with that scary face, AV Thundurus and Choice Scarf Entei, which reminds me a lot of that Xerneas team that we featured just a couple of weeks ago, and then Power Herb Celesteela with 4 attacks, Meteor Beam, Grass Knot, Flash Cannon, and Flamethrower, which is really cool. So I think with this team, most of the time you're going to Dynamax the Giratina, sometimes Thundurus as well, depending on the matchup. Power Herb Celesteela can actually often be used more so as a non-Dynamax option than a max option, just because you get that Meteor Beam boost, you're at +1, and then you have a wide range of attacks to use afterwards. We've used Choice Scarf Entei before, we've lost to it before as well. That's actually kind of what motivated me to bring it onto that Xerneas team that we featured, but it's a fun tech, especially against Zacian teams specifically, because you can Will-O-Wisp it, you can overheat the Zacian, for example, for a one-hit KO, and that's just pretty nice damage. So I think with a team like this, often when people see weakness policy setups, right, something like Colossal or Zekrom, the immediate impression is, hey, let me just activate the weakness policy on turn 1 and try to sweep my opponent. I think, personally, with Giratina, you might want to save the Dynamax for the end game, because if you can stall out your opponent's max and then max Giratina and get its policy activated, actually very similar to that Solgaleo team we just featured, then you really will be able to just pick up big one-hit KOs. Kind of the issue with Giratina is because its base special attack is only 100, even if you activate that policy, should your opponent Dynamax and you don't have a super effective attack against it with Giratina, you will have to spend basically 2 attacks just to deal with your opponent's max. And most likely your opponent's max will be dealing more offensive pressure to you than you to them. So we'll see how the games go today, but I think like conserving your max for the late game is my initial thought on how you might want to approach this, just because I fear that if you lead Comfey Giratina immediately, your opponent can outstall or just stall out your Dynamax, and if that's happening, that's kind of a problem because this team's kind of late game options in terms of non-max options are just a little bit weaker, especially because you don't really want to be bringing Thundurus, and that means you're bringing a combination of Celesteela, Entei, and Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl and Comfey don't do much damage. Entei is good, but only really against steel types, and then you have Celesteela, which is good for sure, but you don't want to just rely on that, right? So yeah. Either way, I've been rambling on long enough. This is a really fun team, so I'm excited to just dive into it. Thank you so much, as always, for watching Road to Rank. If you enjoy, please show support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I want to know what the best concert you've been to is down in the comment section below. My answer definitely would have to be 2, are kind of tied in my mind. The first one is Frank Ocean at Panorama, a festival in New York back in 2017, and the second is Odessa Coachella in 2018. So let me know your answers down in the comment section below, and let's get started with today's episode. First game of the day, we've got triple starter here with Primarina, Rillaboom, Cinderace, and then Rotom-H, Zacian, and Grimmsnarl. Okay. How do I want to approach this? I like Giratina a lot. I mean, obviously we could just go Comfey Giratina. That always works. But I wonder if I want to kind of like... Cinderace is scary. Entei probably should be in the back for us. Or as a lead, actually. Maybe we just go Comfey Giratina. I guess the weird thing is, do I actually really bring Grimmsnarl here? I could Scary Face with this, right? Yeah, it's not bad, but kind of want more offense, and I think Celesteela is actually kind of compelling. It's like Entei Celesteela. Okay, let's try that out. I don't know. Giratina's not bad here, but it's not great either. I feel like, especially if Zacian is play rough, that's what I'm worried about. But Behemoth Blade obviously does a fair amount to us as well. But they don't have great ghost resists. Although Grimmsnarl, I guess, may be a nuisance here, so that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring the Celesteela more. So, yeah. Either way, thanks so much as always for watching Road to Ranked. You know, I've had a lot of fun making these videos in the last year, and I think, like, the last year or so, as I've mentioned before, has been basically the most consistent I've been in making these videos, other than maybe, like, 2015. Which is wild to think about. That's like, what, half a decade ago at this point. So I really appreciate everyone for continuing to come out and watch these. Whether, you know, you're competing seriously or whether you're just a casual viewer, it means a lot. So thank you. Okay, it's Grimmsnarl plus Zacian. I mean, we can just Draining Kiss turn 1 and, like, Phantasm Zacian. Entei lead here would have been kind of neat. Like, Behemoth Blade hurts, sure, but doesn't KO us. So, like, yeah, I think I'm just going to Draining Kiss here, Dynamax. Oh, wait, we have Max Quake. Yeah, I think Quake is better here. Actually, did they have a switch into Quake? I would think +2 Phantasm KOs, and they don't have a switch into Phantasm. So I lean towards that here. Okay. Do you get a special defense boost from this, though? But would you really switch out Zacian here? Into like a Rotom-H? I think that's unlikely. Yeah, they stay in. Okay. But I think sub or protect here from Zacian definitely is very likely. One way I could have capitalized off that is actually just going straight for Trick Room with Comfey on turn 1. But we get Giratina out. It's looking pretty strong right now. Look how much HP it has. Nearly 500 at level 50 with Dynamax. Okay, so we'll get the Draining Kiss off. Nice. They didn't protect with Zacian, which is also interesting. Which makes me think it's just going for Behemoth Blade. Yeah, they set up Light Screen, but I think +2 Quake should still KO through Light Screen. I really hope so, otherwise that'd be a big problem. And they target Comfey, yeah. That's fine with me. Like, if I'm trading Comfey for my opponent's Restricted, I feel like that's a fantastic trade-off for us. Especially because we've already gotten the Weakness Policy activation, and we'll get a Special Defense boost, which is pretty important when you consider... And Comfey survives that, wow, okay. I think that's a damage roll, but that's huge that we survive. That's a fantastic start for us. Nice. Zacian hangs on with just a sliver of HP. This, you can see the downside of Giratina where, yeah, it just really doesn't do that much damage, but that's okay. I'll happily take that turn. We got Entei Celesteela in the back. Actually, a KO there would have been really huge because you're forced to bring something back out immediately. Zacian protecting here feels really obvious, so I kind of want to double up onto Grimmsnarl. Yeah, would you protect here, actually? I think we can just Draining Kiss Zacian and Quake it. Because if you protect, my Quake gets redirected anyway. If you don't protect... What? Wow. I have not seen that one before. Yeah, Zacian did protect. I wanted a Draining Kiss super bad onto it, but I didn't want Zacian to actually get like a Behemoth Blade off. Sorry, I wanted a Draining Kiss to Grimmsnarl is what I meant to say, but I really did not want it to get a Behemoth Blade off. I just, wow. Dynamax Grimmsnarl. I feel like if you're maxing here, though, you have to target Giratina, right? Which means I can just heal it next turn anyway. Are they just going for the rolls with the G-Max attack? Oh, gosh. They target it on Comfey, so I guess they're just hoping to get the effect onto Giratina here. Looks like they don't, which is huge. Okay. Well, I have Entei, which can Will-O-Wisp them. They have dual fires in the back, so I don't want to bring out Celesteela yet. I think we'll bring out Entei first. Yeah, there's Cinderace. Celesteela into Cinderace would not have been super pretty for us. I can't believe I'm staring down a Gigantamax Grimmsnarl right now. That is wild. Okay, I mean, we can just Will-O-Wisp. You do so little damage then. and then Wormwind into Cinderace. They try to Sucker Punch. Okay, I mean, that's fine. I just don't think they can really deal with Giratina right now. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really do that much. We hit the Will-O-Wisp, which is huge. I never thought I'd be clicking Will-O-Wisp onto Gigantamax Grimmsnarl with our first game with this team, but here we are. Alright, Max Wormwind from Giratina into Cinderace. That's a one-hit KO. Okay, this is the good thing. Despite them having Light Screen, because they chose to Max Grimmsnarl, I don't actually feel, like, offensively threatened in the slightest. So, I feel like this has played out almost as well as possible. It's just, I'm still worried about, you know, the potential effect from Snooze. But look how little damage Giratina takes from that. Oh my gosh. Okay, Giratina does get Drowsy, though, which is a little bit scary, but, like, Grimmsnarl is not really the threat, so let's see what my opponent's last Pokemon is at this point. In reality, we could even stay in with Grimmsnarl here. It's actually going to be Primarina coming out. So, I think Celesteela actually closes out this game. Oh, actually, I forgot our Gigantamax ended here. Or, sorry, our Dynamax. Yeah, I mean, I want to switch Entei out into Celesteela here. I don't think there's much point in switching out, so I'm down to just Shadow Ball Primarina, but this is still a little bit scary. I kind of wish I had Thundurus in the back now. But Grimmsnarl is basically completely useless, so it's down to Primarina to actually deal damage in this endgame. And it doesn't protect, which is really nice, so Giratina actually got so much off in this game. Okay, pretty good damage. They're just going to opt for Moonblast here in a Giratina, which is fine. I mean, this thing's, like, wow, so bulky. We did get those special defense boosts, obviously. Another Snooze coming out here. Doubling up in the Giratina. Not even enough to KO. Wow. And fortunately, no Yawn effect again. So we got pretty lucky with the rolls here from Grimmsnarl. I don't know. I just felt like my opponent didn't need a max Grimmsnarl. I feel like if they just max Cinderace, this game could have been a little bit tougher for us. But now, we can go from Meteor Beam onto Primarina. Giratina is going to fade, but I think Meteor Beam into... I actually don't remember how heavy Primarina is, so I don't know if Grass Knot or just a Flash Cannon's better into Primarina, but it's been nice that we've had the speed advantage, you know, throughout the course of this game. Oh, this doesn't one-shot us, does it? Oh, that was dangerously close because they crit us. Oh, I really hope we don't miss Meteor Beam. That would be bad. That was a tough crit. Without the crit, we definitely had this game because Grimmsnarl just doesn't do damage into Celesteela. But if we hit this, we should still be okay. Okay, it connects. Nice. Alright. Got the Meteor Beam off. Not enough for KO, but that's okay because Primarina can't attack. It is buried, though. There is an end game win condition for my opponent here, and that's kind of scary. If they doubled up onto Celesteela here. They did. Oh, actually, but yeah, you do no damage there. Okay, nice. So we should be good, I think. It's getting a little bit scarier, though, honestly. Especially because it actually was Berry Primarina. But I'll double up into Prim here. They obviously can't attack this turn. Oh, nice. We actually just get the one-turn wake, too. So, pretty favorable rolls for us, all things considered, in this game. The crit definitely, like, kept them in the game, but Giratina actually put in so much work. I'm just kind of surprised my opponent decided to max that Grimmsnarl, because that's the downside with Grimmsnarl. Like, you only... It's like a roll to even have the chance to get that Yawn effect, right? And even then, your opponent gets another turn to attack anyway. And ultimately, Giratina just did so much damage across the board, even though Light Screen was up. So, we take those. Alright. So, Entei comes back out. Will-O-Wisp obviously help, right? Because as soon as I can burn Grim... Like, that's an example of, like, a very niche Dynamax. And normally when you do something like that, you really want to, like, make sure you get the best possible outcome. But Gigantamax Grimmsnarl is just very variance-inducing, right? Because, yeah, if you don't get those Yawn rolls, it's just... It feels really useless. And sure, I did super effective damage in a Giratina, but you saw, like, I mean, even without the burn, it would have done, like, what, maybe 50 damage total? So, yeah. Goggles, Rotom-H, Citrus Primarina with Hydro Cannon, Miracle Seed, Rillaboom, X for Belt Cinderace. Yeah, honestly, I think my opponent would have had a easier time if they just maxed Cinderace. I don't know if it would have won them the game, but yeah, they had play rough here, which is interesting. And I can't believe Comfey survived, honestly. But look, I mean, they are Jolly, not Adamant. And so I think it's a damage roll at that point. So they had Sucker Punch. Yeah, they're not like max attack either. I don't know. I guess my opponent was just maybe a little bit nervous. Or they figured, hey, if I get the Yawn onto the Giratina. Because if they actually get that initial Yawn off, well, Cinderace couldn't protect anyway. So I don't know. Oh, You know what they could have done, though? They could have switched Cinderace out into Primarina, because I believe I Worm-Winded that turn. So, Max Phantasm into Cinderace actually would have been a more optimal play in that position. Yeah. Either way, though, that was a really interesting game. Definitely a cool Gigantamax for my opponent, because I just wasn't expecting that. With something like G-Max Grimmsnarl, I mean, there's only so much you can do to prep for it. Most of the time, if they're maxing and they don't get the yawn effect off, like, it's not going to be very good for them. And so we were lucky to dodge mostly the yawns this time around. But I think that's the first time in Series 8 I've actually seen someone max their Grimmsnarl, so that's pretty neat. But I definitely got away with making a suboptimal play by going for that Worm Wing, because as soon as I get the burn on a Grimmsnarl, it's not like I need to decrease your attack any further, so Phantasm definitely would have been better. Okay, this definitely feels like a Comfey Giratina game. I guess the question is whether or not I should lead this. And I will say what feels like a little bit awkward is the reliance on always... Like, if I don't max, for example, what am I bringing in the back, right? If I do max, sorry, what am I bringing in the back? Okay, I honestly am not opposed to just setting up screens early with Grimmsnarl here, though. Grimmsnarl Celesteela is actually kind of compelling to me. Stall out my opponent's max, potentially, and then just go to town with Comfey Giratina. I don't know, Meteor Beam Power Up Celesteela is really interesting here. Don't like Entei much. I don't know, but on second thought, like, AV Thundurus feels so good into my opponent's team as a max. I don't know. Like, how can I not bring Thundurus against my... The only problem is if I bring Thundurus, I feel forced to max it, which means I don't max Giratina. I don't like that much. And I'm not sure I really want to max Thundurus in the beginning of this game either. I'm going to try this out. I don't know if it's the smartest approach, because Thundurus on paper looks amazing in this matchup. So I feel like the better approach may have been to actually just, like, bring... But my problem is, like, my opponent's team is pretty bulky. If I max Thundurus and I don't get any KOs, then I'm in a really bad hole, I think. So the idea is that the Celesteela here actually applies decent offensive pressure. Meteor Beam does a lot of damage, and I can get screens up so that Giratina in the late game looks absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, they let Venusaur Porygon, and I feel like the reality is with this, you could just switch Porygon into Torkoal and, like, Sleep Powder turn 1. This is this is kind of like the passive lead that I was expecting here. So I don't mind just going for a Light Screen turn 1 and Meteor Beam into the Venusaur. Now we could even Dynamax Celesteela depending on how this shakes up. If you're my opponent, you could switch Porygon out into Torkoal. You could Weather Ball Celesteela or Max Venusaur. Max Flare with Weather Ball. There's the switch. Oh, I could have Meteor Beam Porygon there to nail the switch. Actually, I think that would have been better. Oh, that actually would have been such a sick play. Kind of regret not going for that, but it's okay. I wonder if they Sleep Powder here. Okay, they're going to Max Venusaur, yeah. Given that Venusaur is maxing, there is honestly a good argument to be made to max the Celesteela. And max Rockfall, that changes the weather. We're at +1 special attack, and we have Light Screen. You should have Kyogre as your last one, so then your answer against Celesteela... You're like... Actually, I think they're probably going for the Max Flare here via Weather Ball. That's what I'm expecting, but let's see. Yeah. Does this KO us? No, it doesn't. Okay, that's good. What a shame I didn't go into Porygon, though. That was like a pretty easy play to make. So... I don't know. I don't think Porygon ever wants to really stay in there. And if we like one-shot Torkoal, we're actually in really good shape in my opinion. So, slightly suboptimal play on my end, unfortunately. Decent damage. Got Comfey Giratina in the back. Done a Scary Face Venusaur here and Flamethrower into it. Venusaur should still outspeed Celesteela, unfortunately, though. So... I really should have tried to KO Torkoal in turn 1. But I mean, my game plan was to, like, bait out my opponent's max, get Light Screen up, and then go with the Giratina in the late game. My problem is that even +2 Giratina doesn't even do that much damage into Porygon. That's the issue. And, like, Venusaur's probably Kova in this position. Could I have survived Max Flare? Because if so, Dynamaxing and Rock Falling into Torkoal definitely was the play here. Because then I could Scary Face Venu again next turn. Ooh, but they go for Ooze. Okay, nice. Yeah, probably predicting a Protect from Celesteela there. It does give Torkoal a special attack boost, which is pretty scary, but... I wonder if Flamethrower in the Sun at +1 KOs Venusaur from this range. That would be sick. Oh, hangs on with just the Sliver. And the Eruption. Okay. Yeah, if I Scary Face Max Rockfall there, it actually would have been super, super nice. So, the thing is, I think I feel a little, like, too far behind at this point. How fast is our Giratina again? Venusaur should outspeed it. That's not good. If you're my opponent, what do? You just Gmax Vine Lash Comfey, right? The thing is, I don't think Giratina, it's not like Solgaleo, which we just used, which is offensive enough to just close out endgames by itself, and that's part of the problem. So I can max, sure, I can max Quake into Torkoal, go for the Draining Kiss onto Giratina, but the reality is that Venusaur is going to get the Vine. Like, if we Flamethrower a KO there, I actually think we could definitely pull off this comeback, but it feels like we're a little bit too far behind, and I could have just started this off with the Meteor Beam into Torkoal right away, and just because I feel like Porygon's not really doing much in that position. I don't know, I was hoping Meteor, yeah. I also could have Dynamax Celesteela last turn, Rockfall. If I have Rockfall Scary Face in that position, then it's like I can go for another Scary Face on a Venusaur again. Actually, I don't even need to, right? Because I'm already just faster than you. Because I've changed the weather. Yeah. So I just didn't know. I assumed Venusaur was going to, like, think about Max Flaring Celesteela again. Didn't want to risk that, but my opponent made the nice play there. They're going to Vine Lash, presumably into Comfey here. Yeah, it's so much damage. Now, the cool thing about Comfey is I can self-draining Kiss to actually heal the Comfey, but... like I said, I think part of the problem is that it's going to be really tough for the Giratina to win this by itself. Yeah, +2 though, I don't know. I mean, it still does damage. I'm getting special defense boost. My opponent's team is almost entirely special, and presumably I have a Kyogre in the back. So right now, you probably bring out the Porygon 2. 60 down to 34, so we can take one more because we took 26 damage there. Yeah, the Scary Face ended up being kind of useless too. Spirit Break onto Venusaur. Well, I feinted. Did I feint that? I did feint, but we would have attacked before Torkoal. This is where, like, the downside of Giratina comes into effect, right? With, like, other max... I mean, actually, even with stronger ones, you still don't really KO very easily, so... it's not great. I could always... I have to respect this thing Sleep Powdering now, too, don't I? Yeah, it's not good. They should Trick Room here. Sleep Powder, Giratina, and Trick Room feels like a really good option. Maybe Giratina can win the endgame. I don't know. And also, maybe I should have Max Quake there. I kind of need this Draining Kiss to KO the Venusaur, though, because if not, then it can Sleep Powder Giratina. If you sleep the Giratina here, I think I definitely lose. But I think Giratina can pull off the comeback right now. I just played the first two turns somewhat suboptimally, in my opinion. But yeah, you may remember we used this Tornadus. Okay, they don't protect, so I'm hoping Draining Kiss gets this knockout here. Let's see. Okay, good. Yeah, we just really couldn't afford that to get a Sleep Powder off in a Giratina. But I took, what, 26 from Vine Lash, so if you Ice Beam here... I don't know, Trick Room feels more likely, though. This is why I like Max Quaking more. Wait, that's so much damage? What? Was that a crit, or does it actually do that much? Okay, wait, maybe we have a chance then. I didn't think Giratina would do that much. And they just Shadow Ball. Okay. Oh, we don't want to see a special defense drop, though. That's not good. But the thing is, if your last one is Kyogre, I can just Floro Healing Giratina, Max Quake Porygon, then Draco Meteor into Kyogre. I just don't know if +2 Draco KOs. Wow, I didn't think Max Worm would do as much as it did. Oh my gosh. Okay, alternatively, I can just Draining Kiss Porygon here, but I don't know if it KOs. I don't think it will. Yeah, I think I'm just going to heal up Giratina, get the special defense boost by KOing Porygon. And they protect Kyogre! What? Let's go! Oh my gosh. I can see why they protected Kyogre, but I'm always Max Quaking Porygon in this position and healing myself up. But that's just so good. Because I was nervous about Kyogre outspeeding us, but now I get a special defense boost along the way. If they didn't get that special defense drop, this actually felt like a guaranteed win. even if they didn't protect there. But because they protected, now I'm feeling really good. I guess my only hesitation is whether or not +2 Draco Meteor KOs. I could Shadow Ball twice if I don't think Draco's going to one-shot. It's +2 Draco Meteor, though. I mean, we did like 90% to... My only fear is basically missing Draco Meteor if it doesn't guarantee... Well, if it guarantees the KO, I think I should go for it. But I don't even know if 2 Ice Beams knocks us out, to be honest. It's only 1 turn of Vine Lash, and we still have... Wait, I totally forgot about Light Screen. That's actually huge as well. I feel like because we have Light Screen up, we just Shadow Ball here instead. But it does open up a potential to crit or freezing. Because you get an extra attack off. But I feel like missing Draco here is just way too bad, so I'd rather just go for the 100% accurate play. Oh, they don't even have Ice Beam, do they? If they're Water Spell, that's probably Water Spell, Origin Pulse, Thunder, Protect. So I'm actually kind of surprised that they're going for Spout rather than Thunder, because with Thunder, you can at least get a Paralysis chance. Okay, Vine Lash. Then there's no more Vine Lash now, right? Yep, and we still have 2 turns of Light Screen. Shadow Ball's a 2-hit KO, so just go for it again. Maybe my opponent's plays Double Protect. I mean, I'm assuming they don't have Ice Beam. Does Water Spout in the rain at max health do more? I don't know. It's just, imagine if I missed Draco Meteor there. I'm not even confident in Draco Meteor actually picking up that KO. Like, I think that would actually just lose me the game. So let's see. I think you need to go for a Double Protect here and also have Ice Beam, but I don't even think Ice Beam KOs. They just go for Origin Pulse. Okay, so they need a crit here. I don't even know if a crit does it, but let's see. I just didn't think Giratina would, like, knock out Porygon as easily as we did. So I kind of underestimated the +2 base 140 max Wormwind, but Giratina pulls it off. That was sick. So this is why, like, in the end, even though the first 2 turns didn't look that good, and actually, admittedly, I thought I was in a bad, like, I fell behind too much to the point where I didn't think I could pull off the comeback. What was really important was my opponent, like, not protecting with Torkoal, for example, and then also not setting up Trick Room. Although, since Max Wormwind did so much damage, even if they set up Trick Room, we actually would have been fine, because then another Wormwind KOs Porygon, even if you recover. So, oh, yeah, I'm curious about the spreads here. It is Koba, yep. Sleep Powder, which is exactly why we needed to cover the option of it Sleep Powdering us. Charcoal would Protect. So, I think had Torkoal protected the turn we maxed and Quaked, my opponent probably would have won. Because it just loses a turn of max, and we were so far behind at that point. So, them not going for the Protect was critical, but they were presumably yawning. Yep, it was Thunder instead of Ice Beam. In my opinion, my opponent should have Thundered first before Water Spouting, because with Thunder, you at least have that para chance, and when you're that far behind, I think it just gives you better outs. Whereas even if you crit Water Spout there, I don't think it wins you the game anyway. And that's why we did so much damage to Porygon. It was max HP, max defense, so no special defense investment whatsoever. They also had Eerie Impulse, and I don't know if Eerie Impulse would have won it for them. In the end, they actually didn't have that much damage in a Giratina, which was sweet. Zapdos might have been their best bet. Or actually, Urshifu would have been, but they didn't bring it, so... Wow, I mean, Giratina is definitely impressed in those last 2 games. I'm actually, like, super hyped about them. So, yeah, very happy about how those games went. And my point about that last game was, like, you know, I came into it with the game plan. The idea of not leading Giratina was because I feel like the problem with... I mean, Giratina doesn't do that much damage, and you're going to often, like, face another max Pokemon, right? So, like, I wanted to bait out my opponent's max, stall it out, and then use Giratina to clean up in the endgame, kind of like how we used Solgaleo previously. But Giratina, obviously, his base special attack is a little bit lower, so you don't guarantee knockouts nearly as easily. But, I mean, yeah, really happy about how that game ended up playing out, so we absolutely take those. Alright, what am I worried about here? I might honestly try to set up Trick Room with Comfey, because their team is just so fast and furious. So, like, Comfey Grim, very passive, right? But I can screens Trick Room, get Giratina in. Giratina's good here, but, like, the Dragapult is what really scares me. I think we'll go Celesteal as the last one. Yeah, and this is just, like, the common syndrome that I think a lot of teams in Series 8 have, which is, like, this team, because Thundurus is on the team, I don't know, I really like Dynamaxing Grimmsnarl, so I wonder if there's, like, a better replacement for Thundurus, just because of I feel like with Giratina, you really want to max it, because you get so much value out of just its really high HP stat, right? So, the issue is, you know, if I'm maxing Giratina, then, you know, I'm probably not going to bring Thundurus, unless I'm in really niche scenarios. Scarfente's okay, but, like, it's not really gonna carry you. It's really used to help you against steel types specifically, otherwise not very much. And so like having one Pokemon that doesn't need to Dynamax. I mean, something like Urshifu, for example. I don't know if Urshifu fits into this team specifically, but something that basically wants to come out non-Dynamax more often than Dynamax, I think could be compelling. It's gonna be Zacian plus Aleki. I don't really like this too much. Mainly because I don't want Fake Out. If we had Fake Out, this would be a different story. You can definitely Reflect turn 1. Yeah, it's not great for us. Protect is so rare from Comfey though, so I'm actually thinking of protecting turn 1 and reflecting. But then I guess the question is, where does that even get us? Not very far, I suppose. I guess I can reflect Trick Room here. I mean, there's a chance that my opponent doesn't double up onto the Comfey here. Okay, with Reflect, we should survive a Behemoth Blade, which is huge. That's absolutely huge. Okay, I'm very happy about how this turn played out, then, all things considered. Alright, they go for sub. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm glad I didn't protect with Comfey there. Sub will make this substantially trickier, but getting a Reflect up the way we did is good, and I can double up into Aleki, and my opponent actually has no Fairy Resist because Zacian is out on the field. No Fairy Resist other than Zacian, I should say. So I can just Draining Kiss into the Regieleki and Spirit Break. Forces you... I think that might just KO, to be honest. I mean, Aleki is so frail. Even if it doesn't, it's not doing much in return, so... I don't know, I think typically against Comfey, you really want to deny it Trick Room if possible. So the fact we actually got Trick Room up is huge here, because my opponent's team is so hyper-offensive. Actually, I'm not sure this double up will KO. Probably not. Survive with a little bit. Yeah, that's okay, though. I will take that. They're going to Blade into Grimmsnarl, that's fine. I was thinking about switching Grim out into the Zacian, or sorry, the, what's Zacian? Giratina. Oh, they actually KO us. That's good. I wanted that. Nice. Okay. So you KO us. The sub is just tricky, though. And Screech comes out. Okay, very cool. But it's okay, I think, because we get Giratina out now. The thing is, I could have gone into Celesteela, Draining Kiss Flamethrower. But I'd rather just ensure that I get Weakness Policy activated here. So I can Draining Kiss into Giratina. They also don't have a switch into Dragon with Zacian. Now, Zacian's their main defensive, like, crux here, so... Pretty safe to Warm Wind and Self-Draining Kiss. And then we'll have Reflect and Zacian's back at neutral. If you KO Comfey, that's actually fine with me. You give me a free switch into Celesteela. So, I feel like if we don't get Trick Room up in this matchup, we probably just lose immediately. So, we needed to at least get Trick Room up, but with Trick Room up, we're actually in decent shape. It's still tough, though, because they went for a good substitute. Like, sub... This is why sub is so common on Zacian, right? Zacian's not exactly the bulkiest restricted, but if you get a good sub up, it's like it just burns multiple turns of max moves, right? They protect here, but that's fine. We're going to KO through protect anyway. And the reason why I want to actually get this knockout is because I basically want to KO everything around Zacian right now. Zacian's scary, sure, but Celesteela in the back should wall it super hard, especially with Reflect up and with it being brought to neutral. So... This is an opportunity because we know our opponent does not have a single safe switching into Max Wormwind, so it's really safe to go for that. And it's not really worth it to Max Quake and break the sub right now, in my opinion, because like it means I have to launch another attack anyway into it next turn. They're just gonna Behemoth Blade into Comfey here. I assume this KOs, but we'll see. Yeah, they're neutral. We're at -2 defense. We have the Berry, but I don't think we survive. I honestly want to faint here. I want that free switch in right now. Oh no, Comfey, you're too clutch. That's actually bad. A Celesteela switching would have been great there. So, I actually could have intentionally not Warm-Winded to let them get the knockout there. That's actually a pretty interesting idea. That's okay, though. Because the thing is, I could switch Comfey out now, right? They're going to bring in Umbreon. If you bring Umbreon out, you can obviously foul play in this position. I am just going to Draining Kiss into it. We're pretty bulky and we have Reflect up, so it's not that scary. Draining Kiss. I think it's a double up onto Umbreon here. Okay. Because I don't think Max Wormwind alone will KO, but with this, it should. They could also Yawn into us right now. Comfey heals back up. Yeah, they go for Yawn. Oh, how do I play around that? Oh, I can't if you just KO Comfey here, can I? But I did pick up another KO, which is good. And if you KO Comfey, I get a free switch into Celesteela. It's just that you could just protect with whatever's coming in, right? Double protect with whatever's coming in. And then Trick Room is stalled out. So there's the Blade again. The thing is that Zacian's not doing any damage in this endgame, so it's all about what my opponent's last Pokemon is. Alternatively, I could have switched Comfey out there, like... the sub has just made this so much trickier. I could have protected, Draining Kiss, no. I think that last one was the right play, but... Umbreon can be a pretty big nuisance to weakness policy users, especially those that are weak to Dark. Now, they didn't foul play here, and it's Dragapult is their last one, okay. I mean, that's not a great sign for us, right? Because I think you always just double protect here if you're my opponent. Those things at -1 attack, so I'm not worried about it. Can't lower your stats. You should max Dragapult and then max guard it. Is there anything I can do here? I could break Zacian substitute. That's what I could do. Flamethrower max Quake. Unless they just don't, like, max guard Dragapult, but that would be crazy to me. Like, I think you should always double protect in this position, but maybe I'm, like, far behind enough to the point where I actually should have just made the right read that they're not going to max guard. And there's also a slight chance they don't actually have max guard. If that's the case, that'd feel really bad. Let's see. Okay, yeah, they max guarded. Oh, interesting. They don't protect with Zacian. That's huge. I mean, I think I'm always doubling up onto Zacian there, just because I feel like if you don't max guard Dragapult, that's just a wild play. We do have Reflect Up still, don't we? So maybe Celesteela can actually claw us back into this one. Okay, that's a huge double up to actually not get the KO. I mean, Giratina has actually really impressed me today. It's just, I think you have to be careful about it because, for example, we just used like Comfey Zekrom, right? Zekrom feels a little bit more oppressive, whereas Giratina is not entirely that strong against Maxmons, just because its base special attack is like relatively mediocre. I think my opponent still is in a pretty good spot, to be honest. We probably need a one-turn wake up. Or you could actually just Phantasm into Celesteela. Yeah, I mean, I think they should still win this game, to be honest, unfortunately. Like, they just conserved their Dragapult really, really nicely, and we needed Giratina to KO Dragapult. Not knocking out Regieleki was actually a really, really big bummer with the double up, but I guess we shouldn't have expected something like that. Okay, anyway, I'm going to Meteor Beam here, and Draco. I think we should survive a war. Actually, you should Phantasm into Giratina here. Yeah. Which we survive. Okay. It's 2 turns of max down. They'll have 1 more next turn. I think this probably boils down to whether or not we can wake up quickly enough with Giratina. The other question is whether or not Celesteela can take a Phantasm from Dragapult right now. Because this is their last turn of max. And Dragapult's so much more underwhelming after its Dynamax is over. Oh, that's so bad. I needed that to hit, I think. That might be the end for us. That's such a big burst of damage. That's a bummer. Okay. Debate here is whether or not I go for a Protect, but I feel like I get KO'd through Protect anyway, right? Oh, okay. Well, that's the downside of Meteor Beam, unfortunately. They are just going to Phantasm again. Into Giratina, okay. So I'm at -2 defense. We still have 2 turns of Reflect, though, but I guess you could just Protect into Phantom Force. Yeah, that probably wins you the game. I'm not sure I would have won anyway, even if I hit that Meteor Beam, to be honest. Well, let's see. I don't know. Would have done... Yeah, I don't think I would have won. Because now you just Protect Phantom Force, and then the 3rd turn Phantom Force comes out, our Reflect is over, I believe. Oh, it's actually just over next turn. Yeah. Unless Celesteela takes a +2 Phantasm, which maybe it can. I mean, this was a really close game. I'm not sure hitting Meteor Beam actually would have made the difference there in the end, so yeah. The yawn on Umbreon, which was the main issue here, so you could see how, yeah, even though we got Trick Room up because they had Umbreon specifically, this is why it's important for hyper-offensive teams. You either have a way like just outright denies Trick Room, or you are able to, yeah, have something slow that can utilize that Trick Room. So, yeah, I mean, it comes down to whether or not Celesteela can take a Phantom Force at -2 defense, but I'm pretty sure it can. I could have protected with Giratina earlier, but I think it KOs to protect anyway. Yeah, that KOs Celesteela. Wonder if that's a guaranteed knockout. I mean, those were a really fun set of games, honestly, so I am not upset about how any of these played out. Zacian made things difficult for us. In the end, my opponent just conserved their max really well. It was a combination of their getting their max really well, and then also, yeah, like late game Dragapult, conserving that. So, yeah, my only question is whether or not we could have survived. I don't think Celesteela is ever surviving that, but I'm not sure. I'm really curious. Like, let's see, Life Orb. We're at -2 defense. I don't think we're very bulky either. Just double checking the spread. It's just max HP, no defense. Oh, wow. We actually have a decent chance of surviving that. It's actually just a 50% chance. If they're Jolly. Now, if they're admin, that's going to KO, right? But I don't know how many people are really running admin pull. Actually, if you're admin, it's a guaranteed KO. If you're Jolly, it's a 50-50. So, I think most people are still running Jolly pull. Actually, let's just check Peakalytics real quick. Because I don't know. Dragapult. Jolly is the most common, but actually a fair amount of people are running admin right now as well. Like, on Showdown, for example, 17% are running Jolly, 15% are running admin. I'm just reading down the list of the most common spreads. And then 13% Jolly, 12% admin. So it's actually, yeah, more people are running admin than I initially thought. But that makes sense too, I guess, because I don't think Dragapult mirrors are nearly as prevalent as they used to be. So you have room to go admin because you're in that speed tier where you still outspeed most things with admin anyway. So if they were admin, that was a guaranteed KO. If they were Jolly, it was a 50-50 roll there in the end. But yeah, I mean, how would I have played that any differently? Because that was a pretty tricky matchup for us. But it felt weird because I didn't feel like I made any like critical errors either. But my opponent just pinned me really, really nicely with Umbreon. So then the question is, okay, what did I not bring in this matchup? Entei and Thundurus, could they have done much? The answer really is no. I would have needed something better than Celesteela. This is where, like, it's funny, going into this match, I was talking about Urshifu. Dark Urshifu would have been really nice in that endgame, right? Because I would have made the same play, doubling up onto Zacian. Oh, actually, but then it doesn't work out because the Urshifu outspeeds the the Giratina. So, yeah. Like I said, I don't think that Meteor Beam missed because it wasn't going to do the amount of damage that Dragapult had left in terms of HP while in Dynamax form. But we basically needed to survive the Phantom Force in the end. Yeah, I don't think protecting Giratina would have solved anything for us there because we were already back at neutral defense and like Phantasm should KO. My opponent made the right play, like in always targeting Giratina. My idea in that endgame was, hey, I can punish them if they make a mistake and don't target Giratina here and just I can Shadow Ball them in return. So they were correct in not like gambling with the sleep turns, getting the defense drops on a Celesteela and putting them in a really, really yeah, smart endgame position there. Either way though, yeah, honestly Giratina impressed me more than I expected it to in this episode, so really excited to, you know, just feature it on the channel. Huge thank you to the creator once again for the team. You can check him out, linked in the description below. Thank you to you all as always for watching, and yeah, don't forget to answer the question of the day, leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Alright, peace.